US President George W. Bush's inaugural address, Jan 20th, 2001. President Clinton, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, the peaceful transfer of authority is rare in history, yet common in our country. With a simple oath, we affirm old traditions and make new beginnings. As I begin, I thank President Clinton for a contest conducted with spirit and ended with grace. We have a place, all of us, in a big, long story. A story that we continue, but those we end will not see. It is the story of a new world that became a friend and a liberator of the old. A story of the slave holding society that became a servant of freedom. The story of a power that went into the world to protect but not possess, to defend but not to conquer. It's the American story, a story of flawed and fallible people, united across the generations by grand and enduring ideals. The grandest of these ideals is an unfolding American promise that everyone believes belongs, that everyone desires, and everyone deserves a chance, that no insignificant person was ever born. Americans are called to enact this promise in our lives and in our lives and in our laws. And though our nation has sometimes halted and sometimes delayed, we must follow no other course. Through much of the last century, America's faith in freedom and democracy was a rock in a raging sea. Now it's a seed upon the wind, taking root in many nations. Our democratic faith is more than the creed of our country. It's the inborn hope of our humanity. An ideal we carry but don't own. A trust we bear and pass along. And even after nearly 225 years, we have a long way to travel. While many of our citizens prosper, others doubt in the promise, even the justice of our own country. The ambitions of some Americans are limited by falling schools and hidden prejudices and the circumstances of their birth. And sometimes our differences don't run so deep, it seems we share a continent, but not a country. We don't accept this, and we will not allow it. Our unity, our union, is the serious work of leaders and citizens in every generation. And this is my solemn pledge. I'll work to build a single nation of justice and opportunity. I know this is in our reach because we are guided by a power larger than ourselves, who created us equal in his image. And we are confident in principles that unite and lead us onward. America has never been united by blood or birth or soil. We are bound by ideals that move us beyond our background, lift us above our interest, and teach us what it means to be citizens. Every child must be taught these principles. Every citizen must uphold them. And every immigrant, by embracing these ideals, makes our country more, not less American. Today, we affirm a new commitments to live out our nation's promise through civility, courage, compassion, and character. America at its best matches a commitment to principles with the concern for civility. A civil society demands more from each of us: goodwill and respect, fair dealing and forgiveness. Some seem to believe that politics can afford to be petty because, in a lack of peace, the stakes of our debate appear small. But the stakes to America are never small. It is if we don't turn the hearts and children's towards knowledge and character, we will lose their gifts and undermine their idealism. If we permit our economy to drift and decline, The vulnerable will suffer most. America, at least at its best, is also courageous. Our national courage has been clear in times of depression and war, when defending our common dangers, defining our common good. Now we must choose if the example of our fathers and mothers will inspire us or condemn us. We must show courage in a time of blessing by confronting problems instead of passing them on to future generations. Together, we will reclaim America's schools before ignorance and apathy claims more young lives. We will reform Social Security and Medicare, sparing our children from struggles we have the power to prevent. And we will reduce taxes to recover the momentum of our economy and reward the efforts and enterprises of working Americans. We will confront weapons of mass destruction so that a new century is spared new horrors. The enemies of liberty and our country should make no mistake. America remains engaged in the world of history and by choice, shaping a balance of power that favors freedom. We will defend our allies and our interests. We will show purpose without arrogance. We will meet aggression and bad faith with resolve and strength. And whatever our views of its cause, we can agree that children at risk are not at fault. Abandonment and abuse are not acts of God, they are failures of love. And the proliferation of prisons, however necessary, is no substitute for hope and order in our souls. Where there is suffering, there is duty. Americans in need were not strangers; they were citizens. No, not problems, but priorities. And all of us are diminished when they are hopeless. The government have great responsibilities of public safety and public health, for civil rights and common school. Yet compassion is the work of a nation, not just a government. And some need and hurts are so deep they will only respond to a mentor's touch or a pastor's prayer. Church and charity, synagogue and mosque lend our communities their humanity, and they will have an honored place in our plans and in our laws. Government have great responsibilities for public safety and public health, for civil rights and common schools. Yet compassion is the work of a nation, not just a government. And I can pledge for a nation to a goal. When we see that wounded traveler on the road towards Jericho, we will not pass to the other side. America at its best is a place where personal responsibility is valued and expected. Encouraging responsibilities is not a search for scapegoats. It's a call to conscience. And though it requires sacrifice, it brings a deeper fulfillment. We find the fullness of life not only in option but in commitment. Our public interest depends on private character, on civic duty and family bonds and basic fairness, on uncounted, unhonored acts of decency which gives direction to our freedom. I will live and lead by these principles, to advance by my conviction with our civility, to pursue these public interest with courage, to speak for greater justice and compassion, to call for responsibilities and try to laugh at it as well. In all these ways, I will bring the value of our history to the care of our time. Americans are generous and strong and decent, not because we believe in ourselves, but because we are hold beliefs beyond ourselves. When the spirit of citizenship is missing, no government program can replace it. When this spirit is present, no wrong can stand against it. After the Declaration of Independence was signed, Virginia statesman John Page wrote on Thomas Jefferson, "We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle of the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwinds and directs the storm?" Much time has passed since Jefferson arrived for his inauguration. Did the years and changes accumulate? But the theme of this day ye would know, our nation's grand story of courage and its simple dream of dignity. We are not the story's authors, who fill time and eternity with his purpose. Yet his purpose is achieved in our duty, and our duty is fulfilled in service to one another. Never tiring, never yielding, never finishing, we renew this purpose today to make our country more just and generous, to affirm the dignity of our lives and every life. God bless you all. God bless America.